Welcome to the Attention Now podcast, where we dive deep with leaders, warriors, and game changers who live with purpose and make an impact. Today's guest is someone who has an incredible story. David, pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Dave. I really appreciate it.
I'm truly excited to have you on the show today for people to learn what you guys are currently doing. Let me start off with an introduction. I'm going to have you fill in a little bit on the introduction as well, if you can. David Buzzard is an Army combat veteran and received 2 Purple Hearts and still serving now the community as well. If you could tell us a little bit more about your background, what you did in the Army, that would be great, David.
Yeah, again, thank you, Dave, for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity. So I grew up in Fayetteville. So I
Okay.
grew up around, the special forces, the Delta guys. Some of my friends' dads were in these units, and it always dawned on me, it's what I really want to do with my life. I want to be the tip of the spear. I really want, to serve this nation and just be one of its best warriors. And so, um, I was there. I was around for September 11th. I was in 6th grade when that took place, and that really galvanized my decision that was definitely something I was going to do after graduating high school, and that's exactly what I did. I went in. I planned to join the Air Force. I wanted to fly jets, really, but my vision was too bad. So instead, I decided to join the infantry. And so,
It's almost the same. It's about the
so
same.
what a transition, right?
Right.
The Marines almost got me with their uniforms, but the Army recruiter that day really snagged me in with the Special Forces
Did you talk to all
push.
the recruiters?
I did, yes, sir. I did. I went in there ready to sign. So that's the problem is no one gave me the advice of haggling for a good a good either 18 X-ray or airborne or RASP contract. They just essentially were like, oh, you can sign up for that when you get there. And
Okay,
so
gotcha.
essentially that's kind of what I did. I didn't get I didn't get some big sign-on bonus. I didn't get some awesome contract. I just went in as a regular grunt. Um, I did my basic training. I ended up getting stationed at Fort Polk, Louisiana. I don't know why the Army hates me that much, but I'm just kidding. It wasn't too bad. It's just as a younger soldier, there's not much to do. If I was an older soldier and had like dirt bikes or a boat or a four-wheeler, that would have been the best place in the world for me. But as a young soldier, there's not much to do in Fort Polk, and so it was just a lot of working out. I was very high speed at the time, and so, I really wanted to do special forces. I was too young to do an 18X contract, and so I figured I'd just get to my unit, I'd train, and then I'd do selection afterwards. And so that's kind of the path that I wanted to do. So I got to my unit. I started carrying a rucksack around for months. I don't want to flub numbers, but I was in the top of my battalion in both shooting, PT, all of the relevant categories that distinguished me as a very good soldier. Um, and so the time came where I had the opportunity to either go out to selection and try or deploy with my team that I've been training with for years. And so I did some thinking and I wanted to deploy with the team that I trained with. If I was going to do special forces, I wanted to actually bring some skills that I had learned in deployment to the team. And so I decided, yeah, I'm going to deploy with my guys. So that's what I did. We got deployed October 2010 to Tangi Valley in Afghanistan, Wardak, Afghanistan.
Okay.
And we were out there in a very small a little combat outpost. I think we had maybe 70 people out there altogether. It was a small little area, but it was our area, and we loved it. It was very rough. Don't get me wrong. We got into a lot of firefights. I heard the statistic, and of course I can't verify this, but one of our commanders told us that we had been in more firefights in our first 3 months than the folks that we replaced in their whole year being there.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, we did
Oh,
not let up. We were out in the community running missions, clearing routes, stopping the IED makers from putting in these IEDs. We were doing great stuff. I was wounded my first time January 30th, 2011. We had just we had had some firefights throughout the night, and they launched some mortars. I think they went the wrong direction. So we went to go do a battle damage assessment to make sure that we had, we hadn't hit the wrong village and done some bad things. And so we went out there in the middle of the day, which I thought was kind of interesting decision, but we made the movement. We didn't have any contact, which was even more weird. You could just feel something was wrong.
Yeah.
And so as we're shifting back to the base, upon completing the battle damage assessment, we're passing by this thing that we called the castle, and it had to have been hundreds of years old, probably maybe even 1,000 years old. It had, four. It was a square structure with four guard towers on each
Okay.
parallel side, and so we're coming around it, making a movement to maneuver around it, and I'm coming around this corner, and yeah, I felt what felt like an eternity, but essentially it was like a ring in the ears, and then I saw like dust, and then it felt like what would happen is if you're bodyboarding and the wave would tumble you, essentially is
Okay.
that's the sensation that it felt. It was just a force and just push and tumble. Um, I took a little bit of shrapnel in the side and face here, a little bit under here. Nothing too bad though, but it was enough to put me on the ground and fearful that it was greater injury than I thought it was.
Okay.
Whatever hit me right here made me close my eye up where I couldn't open it.
Oh, wow.
And so at that moment, after the blast, I couldn't feel my legs, I can't open my eye, and I look over to my right, or I'm sorry, my left here, and I see my good buddy who I was just walking in formation with sitting there essentially in Indian style, like screaming, rocking back and forth with his eye hanging out.
Oh my gosh.
And so like when I saw that, I thought my eye was hanging out as well. And so
Right.
like I'm like clamoring, I'm like, no, it's good. Like it's good as I'm stumbling to my feet to really try and get over to my buddy here and try and drag him to safety. And I'll tell you, I'm 240 pounds. I'm pretty solid, and I couldn't even drag him, man. I was just
Oh,
so
wow. You're so
disoriented,
out of it. Yeah.
discombobulated, that I was just like falling over trying to drag him. Finally, someone came over and helped us both into the castle, and so that's essentially where we set up our cordon, and we called in a air evac to come get our casualties. Both so the reason I'm alive is because of a man named Omar Soltero, a ranger, amazing man, sniper.
May I backtrack for a minute?
Of course.
Was it, excuse me, was it an IED that hit you
It
guys?
was, and that's what I was about to get into. Is
Okay.
without Omar Soltero pulling security at that exact location, pointing out and pulling security, the IED that went off was a directional charge, and it was right at his feet, and it was pointed in our direction. And so,
Oh my
if he had
gosh.
not been standing in that exact spot, I would have definitely caught more shrapnel, and I wouldn't be here today. And so, he's my guardian angel. He's a man I think of
Wow.
every day, and I try to live my life according to how he would find it worthy of his sacrifice. And that's really what drives me, man. If I'm being completely honest, I've seen good men. I've seen strong men crying for their mothers, and just I've seen some terrible things, right? And it really scars a lot of people and really makes people kind of withdraw and fall back into like a cocoon where they're kind
Right.
of um I don't know if I really don't know if it's for their own mental comfort or if it's a survivor's guilt. But what people need to realize is you got to live for the folks that we lost. It's not
100%.
just for yourself at this point.
Right.
It's kind of a slap, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, but it's kind of a slap in the face if someone dies and you live, and then you live your life as am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
If you live your life as a shitbag.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
frankly, you're wasting a sacrifice that wasn't up to them.
Right.
And that's
100%.
not the right answer. You know what I mean? And we need to kind of have more self-discipline, take a step back and say, this is my life, but I'm only have this life because of the sacrifices that my man to the left or my man to the right gave me. And to piss that away would be it'd be shameful. And so
Yeah,
that's kind of
I totally agree. I mean, we signed up to serve, right? And
hmm
those guys signed up to serve, the ones that died, right? So to honor them, we need to step up and keep serving, even if we're out of the service, right?
Amen.
Just look at all the tragedies that happened last week, right? People
Hmm.
stepping up there, out there talking, telling their story, focusing on the right things to say, right things to do, how to live your life. So I think that is what we're really here for, is to set that example for others, right? To be able to live the right way.
Hmm.
So I think that's we just need to find our mission, and we're going to talk a little bit about the hyperbaric oxygen therapy that you guys are
Yes,
doing
sir.
here shortly. But I think
Hmm.
that's one of your new missions, and a lot of people just find your new mission to help others, and they always say you actually get more satisfied, you get more satisfaction, excuse me, when you actually serve somebody versus trying to help yourself, right? Which is pretty cool.
Exactly.
Thanks for that story. We're going to dive into a couple more stories here down the road, but let's. So you grew up in North Carolina, you said, right?
I did, yes, sir. I'm a Carolina boy, born and raised, and so.
Awesome, awesome. And what was your family life like when you were growing up?
Yeah, so honestly, it was a little rough. My mother and father didn't get along very much. They
Okay.
got divorced at a young age, and so it was kind of a rough economic situation for my mother, moving around with my aunt, my grandma, and so it was a struggle. I grew up in a trailer, definitely no silver spoon. Um, but the thing is, again, despite how difficult it may be, I'm the type of person that always looks at the bright side.
All
I'm
right.
always optimistic, right? And so, regardless of how hard it may have been, I won't tell you how hard it's been because I'm always trying to show you, well, it could have always been worse. And that's the way I live my life, Dave. If I'm being honest with you, situations can always be worse. And that means always in every situation. I mean, I could be missing an eye. I can be deaf. I could be, an amputee. My daughters could have issues with their health. There's always something that can be worse off, right? And so just being grateful at all times, even in negative situations, is just something I really try to, urge along with these veterans. You might have a momentary discomfort or a momentary sadness, something that's causing you pain, but it's not worth one, taking your own life over, but two, subjecting yourself to the sidelines. Giving
Right.
that service back to that service that you alluded to. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I never thought of this. And when we're younger, when we're kids, we don't really worry about what's going around, what's going, whether it's negative or positive. We're
Hmm.
just thinking ahead, trying to have fun and do the right thing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
Amen.
we need to have that child mentality again. It's like, hey, just focus on the right stuff and keep moving
Exactly.
forward, man. It's because you're always going to have challenges in life, no matter who you are, right?
Hmm.
Life's not
Hmm.
perfect. So,
And that's
yeah,
and that's the thing is how you address those problems, right? And again, don't get me wrong. Look, I'm not perfect, and I cry and complain and bitch and moan, right? But but after that, I do take a step back and say, okay, yes, wait a minute, it could always be worse.
absolutely. So did you wind up joining the Army right out of high school?
I did. So I took about a 5 month break. My stepdad
Okay.
got stationed in Germany,
Oh,
and so I
wow.
was like, well, I'm gonna go live in Germany for a couple months just to see Europe and try to get some adventure before I get another adventure in the military. And
Right.
so, I flew out there and we lived in a German village, Waldmoor, and I actually worked on base at the Ramstein Aquatic Center. And so this is when they first opened the Ramstein Aquatic Center. I was the person who actually did the demonstration for the three-star general at the time,
Oh, wow.
demonstrating our capabilities as lifeguards. And so, it's funny because I moved to Germany to actually like get some free time to explore and have some adventure. But I was up every morning at 4 o'clock at that damn pool,
Oh
and so
my
I really
gosh.
didn't have much time to do anything while I was living there. And so, I got some experiences. I won't complain about it, but I really didn't get to do as much as I wanted, which I found kind of funny because that was the whole reason for going. But I worked the whole time, so.
Oh my gosh, that's
So I
amazing.
joined out of out of Ramstein Air Force Base. That's where I met my recruiter, and that's kind of where I joined out of. And so
Oh
when you
wow,
look at
that's
my
interesting.
home
I
of
didn't know you
record,
could join
it's
over. I never thought about you could join overseas. Wow.
yeah. And so when you look at my home of record, for some reason it says like the address we had Hokestrasse or something. I can't remember, but it's
Okay.
all in German, and I'm like, that's funny. But but yeah, I joined right out. I knew I didn't want to do college, man. I knew I wanted to serve. Like I said, I wanted to be. I had this urge, as most men do, to be the tip of the spear, to have like, to be the apex predator, to be the alpha. And the thing is, man, if I'm being honest with you, as the years went by, I saw good men dying. See, I'm no pacifist, but I don't want our men dying for missions that mean nothing,
One hundred
right?
percent.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing is that's what I was seeing when I was deployed was we have these top tier guys who've deployed 5, 6, 8 times that have made it through, and then they go on this BS mission to clear a route for no reason, and they get destroyed by an IED.
Just like when you
What
guys
was the
went out
value?
during the day, right? Yeah,
Well, and
exactly.
that's
Like,
and so what I did was I
right.
took a step back and when I after my second Purple Heart, I had the option to reenlist and I thought about it. And if I'm being completely honest with you, there's a couple reasons I didn't reenlist, but the one reason and we can allude to, other things, but holding the folks that hold the spear accountable is more important to me than being the tip of the spear at this point. I want to make sure the people that are pointing the spear and the men that die at the tip of that spear is all for a good cause and not for some special interests. And
Right.
so that's something that, really drives me is I'm no pacifist, but if we're gonna die and bleed, it needs to be for something that we can see. And so that's what drives me, man.
Have you engaged with people to talk to them about that? Any of the leaders or no?
Well, so I've talked to a couple leaders. I've talked to a couple folks that had leadership positions in Afghanistan throughout the years. It is our nation's longest war, so it's kind of hard to get a tamp on like what the actual goals were. What were the actual motivations for maintaining that position for so long? Not many material goals, right? And so I've talked to one commander who actually has survivor's guilt because he knows that throughout the years that he had commanded units, how many men died underneath him, and then just to see us get nothing in return, and
Right.
he that weighs heavy on him, and he's tried to take his life a couple times,
Oh
and
wow.
he hasn't, thank God. He's dealing with it up in New York right now, dealing with equine therapy. Apparently, that's really good, and I've heard great things. But no, it's something that not every Joe faces as well, but commanders at a higher level that we don't think about sometimes, that they didn't have an option either. They were told to send their men in, and that's what they had to do.
They're given orders and they're following your orders, unfortunately.
Exactly.
So
And
yeah,
so
got to
it's
make
tough.
we got to make sure those orders are coming from the right people, like you said.
Amen.
What was one of the most valuable lessons you learned while you were serving?
That some of the best leaders have Article 15s.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, right? Yeah.
Some of the best leaders I saw had Article 15s because that's the thing, Dave. They were willing to say, I'm not taking my guys on that mission.
Not
Or
only no, but hell no. Yeah.
hell no. That
Yeah.
sounds dumb. That sounds
Right.
dumb. And we're not doing that. And that's you don't see that much these days. There's a lot of yes men. And I don't know if that's the school system or what that's kind of created that, but I'm starting to see a lot less challenging. And that's the thing. We need to trust our NCOs. Officers need to trust the NCOs.
Right.
Um, and if an NCO's got a bad feeling about something, trust that instinct sometimes and not just
Yeah.
push them through. And yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful that we can get some structural change, but
Yeah, I just remember that you're never an individual, it's a whole team, right?
exactly.
And we got to operate as a team, not just as an individual, like, hey, I know what I'm doing. So, but a lot of
Mhm.
people when they get in leadership, they forget about that, unfortunately. And it's just the way people work. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
it's hard to develop everyone in that same situation. So so we talked a little bit about what was hard for you. Anything else that was really hard for you while you like a big challenge while you were in, besides what we just spoke about?
Well, Well, one of the reasons I got out of the military was bad leadership.
Okay.
Not the quality of leadership, but for instance, I went on R&R. This is after my first, and this is just a quick story, but essentially after my first Purple Heart, I get to go on R&R. At this point, I had been absorbed into the scout sniper role that Omar Soltero had been killed. And so out of the whole cop, they decided to fill that position with me, but I was a little high speed.
Okay.
And that was exciting. It was an honorable thing. And so I'm with HHS and we're doing our little three-man teams in Overwatch, and it was awesome as they're doing missions and whatnot. And I do that for about a month and a half before I go on my R&R. So I go on R&R. We have a layover in Cotter, and I'm with a first lieutenant and another guy, another specialist who had gotten. This is crazy. So they pulled me onto the sniper team, and then they were going to ghost board me in theater to E5 at 24 months in. That's how high speed I was, right? Okay.
Wow. That's awesome.
So I go on R&R. We get to Cotter. We're there for 3 days, and we're a little bored. And I'm with this officer. He says, "Oh, I've got a friend in Doha that I went to college with. He wants to take us out to dinner. You want to go?"
Yeah,
Sounds
absolutely.
good, sir.
Yeah.
Shit, I'm down. Let's go.
Right.
Like, you know the rules. You're the
Yeah.
officer. I'm just here for my leave. And so we go to the PX. We get civilian clothes. We do the right paperwork. We go through the gate. We leave. We go out and about on the town. We have a great time. Um, we try to get back on the base later that night, and the Air Force security forces arrest us. And we're like, "What's happening?" And they're like, "This isn't your final duty station. You weren't supposed to leave."
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like,
We did
"This
the
is all a
paperwork.
miscommunication, right?"
Right,
And
right, right.
but having just received my first Purple Heart, the guy beside me having received a Purple Heart, getting handcuffed, we became a little aggressive with these Air Force people. Not gonna lie to you,
Yeah,
we were a
yeah.
little offended.
Right.
We're like, "Are you guys really arresting us right now for no reason?" And so point is, because it was in a foreign country, it went up and down through division headquarters. And instead of my command saying, "Whoa, whoa, this is a miscommunication. This is a good soldier. This is obviously a mishap," they essentially left it to me to either challenge the Article 15 in court martial or to just eat it and take the hit, which meant I was going to get demoted, kicked off the sniper team, lose my sniper slot when we got back, all of the above, right? And as a young enlisted man, that all he wanted was to serve his country and climb those ranks. I was deathly afraid of getting a dishonorable discharge,
Right,
more so than
exactly.
any felony.
Yeah.
And so I took it. I ate it.
Wow.
And that's exactly what happened. They kicked me off the sniper team. I got demoted. All of the schools that they had prepared for me got swiftly taken away. My
Wow.
promotion was gone, and it just really killed my morale, if I'm being honest with you. And then, fast forward to Extortion 17. So we were QRF for Extortion 17.
Okay.
I believe it was August 11th. Um, And so we active so Extortion 17, for those who aren't aware, it's probably the greatest death of special forces and SEALs in our history, even more so than Red Wings. We had so they took us out of Kaptangi because there was some high value targets in the area,
Okay.
and they didn't want to shoo them away. And so they removed us while they were inserting, SEALs, Rangers, etc., to get these high value targets. Well, there was a lucky shot by an RPG taken literally from what we called RPG Hill, right in front of Tower 8 at Kaptangi, which literally hit the back of the Chinook
Oh man.
and killed everyone on board. And so we mobilized. We got out there to try to secure the crash site, make sure they didn't exploit these bodies, turn it into propaganda, et cetera. And we get out there, and we're out there for, you know, days. We didn't have much food or water. We were getting speedballed equipment from helicopters. And so I remember this one instance. I was pulling security on a ridge line. We had just finished dropping J dams on, and my first sergeant comes around the corner and is basically scalding me for having my sleeves pulled up.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm just like thinking to
Like,
myself,
really,
is
dude?
this
Come on,
real
man.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
is this real right
This is
now?
this is this is your
Is this
priority
really
right
what
now? Yeah.
is this what we're focused on? And that, if I'm being honest with you, was really what solidified, this isn't right for me. Like if I
Right.
can't do special forces and go into these small teams and do things that are needed to be done, the line isn't right for me. And so
Right. Yeah, yeah,
because
that makes
if
sense.
this is the way it is, it's not right for me. And so essentially when we got back to Garrison, I made the decision not to reenlist. I said no. I'm not gonna subject myself to that again with no guarantees of getting into a team or even going to selection or you know. And so I decided to take the college option, and um, and that starts a whole another story if you want to get into that, Dave.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to backtrack
Yeah.
the Extortion 17. Did you guys take
Mhm.
any fire for that? Was there any enemy come around?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. No, there was
Okay.
tons of enemy out there. They were all so we were in the valley, and they
I
were
can
all on
imagine they
ridge
were probably
lines.
just flocking to that Chinook
Oh
right
yeah,
away, right?
absolutely. That's the thing is they were getting calls to go essentially keep us busy by small arms fire, recoilless rifles, RPGs, all of the above, right? And so yeah,
Were you
we
guys
were
able
out
to
there
get everybody
really.
out, or were they all pretty burned?
Yes. Well, there was definitely casualties that they couldn't, confirm at that location, but we
Okay.
got all the remains, we got all the appropriate equipment, all the security, the sensitive items and whatnot. We made sure everything was destroyed if it wasn't accumulated, and
Okay.
so
So they weren't able to get anything. That's good.
no, 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 no. We maintained positive uh, ownership of that crash site.
Got it. Got it. Let me I want to pick up that college thing too. So just bear with me, see where we're gonna let's
Yeah.
just roll into that now. So because I know a
Well,
lot of people wind up getting out, right? And they don't know
well, and
what
it
the
kind of
they,
rolls
they
right
don't
into exactly why I do what I do, David. So, I didn't do my paperwork right when I was transitioning.
okay.
And so when I went to come to UNCW, which I thought I had been enrolled into,
Okay.
I wasn't enrolled. And
Oh,
so
no
my
way.
stipend wasn't there. And
Man,
so
you and paperwork don't get along.
oh no, 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 no. And so that's the thing is, I was working a part-time job and I had an apartment and it just wasn't enough to meet ends meet to actually, maintain myself until the following semester. And so I ended up
Okay.
getting evicted,
Oh
ended up on
man.
a couch back in Fayetteville on my buddy's couch. And I was working at a car wash, man, as a car wash attendant. And so like I go from this proud, I don't want to call myself a super soldier, but I was very go get 'em, man. And I was
Right,
very
right.
motivated. And two-time Purple Heart, and I had thought about re-enlisting at some point, but I wanted to get out and see the real world, see how things were, and then re-enlist. And so with that being said, I was in a very depressed state at that point because I go from being a proud soldier who's happy with his decisions to a car wash attendant living on a buddy's couch. Um, Quickly got dark.
Right.
I
Absolutely.
struggled with, drugs and not necessarily alcohol. I wasn't a big drinker, but I definitely wanted to numb myself. And I dealt with all that, and I was able to overcome it through to some unconventional means, and definitely not the pills that the VA gave me. Um,
Did you ever
and
take those?
I didn't. No,
Good, good.
I began taking them, but they made me feel funny, and I stopped immediately.
Nice.
And I
That's
actually
good.
still have the pill bottles. Uh,
Listen to your body always, right? Yep.
exactly. And that's the thing. It was saying stop, and that's exactly what I did. Um, but so I picked myself up by my bootstraps. I did F-Tech, Fayetteville Technical Community College, transferred to Cape Fear Community College down here in Wilmington. Did some good grades there. Transferred over to UNCW, got my degree there, and
Nice.
yeah, and started. I I wanted to do architecture, if I'm being honest, but really started getting into political science. Remember, I talked about holding that spear, making sure people aren't orienting that spear. So I really started
Exactly.
to get my attention. And so that's really what I fell into, was political science. And so that's what I got my degree in. I started working after that with Concerned Veterans for America, because that's what I
Okay.
am, and that's what the company that I thought I wanted to work for, because they were doing some good stuff for veterans. And but that aside, that got me into the whole political realm. Did some stuff there, um, odds and ends with political stuff. I did cable work with my dad, underground cable. So I'm no what is it? I'm used to hard labor,
Okay.
essentially.
Gotcha.
I dig ditches. I put the cables in the ground. I'm not shy.
Whatever it takes. I love it.
Exactly. I'm not shy. And
Right.
so that's kind of doing odds and ends over the years. That's kind of what I did until I found a role at the General Assembly here, working under Senator Michael Lazara,
Okay.
a good Marine,
Oh,
actually.
hurrah. All right.
That's right. That's right. And so while I was up there working, these folks, HBOT for Heroes, came through looking for funding. And
Okay.
I was like, look, what is this? What is
What are
this
these
snake
guys doing?
oil?
Right.
Well, yeah, because it sounded too perfect when they came in. They're like, oh, we have the answer to PTSD, TBI, and suicidal ideation. And I said, well, that sounds great. Let me see. Let me see what you got to say.
Yeah,
And so, I trust, but I always verify before I pass things on to my
100%.
legislator. So
Right.
I actually went to the facility, I toured it, and I was actually blown away at what I saw. These hyperbaric chambers are something that, they seem fantastical, but they're really old technology. But I'll get into that in a second. But essentially, I saw the facility. I decided to enroll in it and try it out myself. And so I did that at dive 3, what we call dives, because it's dealing with pressure.
Right.
Um,
Pressure, oxygen, right? Yep.
Yep. And so, well, let me kind of go over the overview. So essentially, what you do is you sit inside a fuselage, which is pressurized. It looks like the inside of an airplane because we use multi-place chambers. And so we have about 10 folks in our chambers here in Raleigh-Durham. And so it's not quite as claustrophobic. There are some hyperbaric chambers that are they're smaller, and they exacerbate the
They kind of look like
claustrophobia.
a tube, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly. And so I like these bigger chambers where you can actually, get a little space and you're not confined, and it's a little more comfortable. But
Right.
with that being said, you sit inside, you breathe pure oxygen through a mask or a hood, a CPAP mask or a hood. And what it does is it actually, the pressure, so it's 2 times Earth's atmospheric pressure. So that's about 33 feet of underwater. That's about what it
Okay.
feels. It's not terrible. Um, you do feel some pressure in your ears, but if you're able to Valsalva and release that pressure, it feels like nothing essentially. And so after about and they're about an hour a piece, and so it's
Okay.
about 15 minutes to get down, 15 minutes to get up, and about hour at depth.
Got it.
And with that, what happens is, because of the pressure, the oxygen molecule is binded to the blood plasma. And so it takes it throughout the whole body wherever the blood plasma is going. And
Interesting.
it's more effective than the red blood cells in transporting the oxygen. And so your body is actually addressing all inflammation from both the pinky toe all the way to the brain simultaneously. It begins neurogenesis. It hits these deep-seated cells within the brain that haven't received oxygen because the red blood cell doesn't get to it as efficiently as the blood plasma. And so, with that being said, after a certain amount of dives, you start to feel the benefits. And so, after the third dive, I went from about 3.5, 4 hours of terrible sleep, about rolling back and forth all night, to about 7 hours of deep sleep.
Wow.
And that alone
That
changed
was
my
that was a game
whole
changer right there because sleep is so important, right?
mood stabilization, the anger withdrawal. I wasn't as agitated. The interactions with my wife became easier. I wasn't offloading my issues onto her or the kids as much as I was. It was amazing, man. Let me tell you, it's like not only was my mobility enhanced, my cognitive function, my sleep, my relationship, but also my mobility. Like, I could actually move my joints and stuff. I used to bodybuild, and it's been on the decrease, man. I can't even freaking squat 150 anymore, without my knees feeling like they're gonna
Oh
blow
yeah.
out. And
Okay.
so, being able to pick my daughter up with no knee pain and all these little things that add to a quality of life improvement made the huge difference, right? And so with that, I was blown away. I came to these folks and I did, okay, so hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. So after about 20 dives, your stem cell production naturally boosts by almost 800%.
Nice.
Naturally. So a lot of people that go in, they get expensive stem cell injections in their knees and in their joints and whatnot. This is naturally producing it throughout the whole body, not just relegated to one joint, but throughout every muscle and every fiber. And that's why this is really amazing. This is a game changer, Dave. This is why this is calling to not only me, but so many veterans that have actually seen this, and not your average Joe. I'm talking former command sergeant majors, former flags. We've got ex Delta Force members using this. We've got
Nice.
special forces guys, MARSOC, some highly credible individuals that are actually seeing the benefit, trying to take it back to their command structure to advocate and really expand upon access. The thing is, with HBOT for Heroes, this is just a nonprofit trying their damnedest to get access of this care to all the veterans here in North Carolina. And we've been successful at what we've done so far. We've treated nearly 300 veterans here
Okay.
at our facility with amazing results. It's shown to reduce PTSD, TBI, everything that leads to suicidal ideation, quality of life enhancement. I mean, the list goes on and on. The thing is, the VA won't allow it for the indicators that we want, specifically around the brain health, without the FDA signing off on it.
Oh
And
wow.
the
Okay.
problem is, Dave, is the FDA's research is paid for by big pharma.
Exactly. Yep.
And the
Conflict,
thing
little
is,
conflict of interest there.
a
Yep.
little bit, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, everything that are, see, you can't patent oxygen and pressure.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And so you can't upcharge it. And so that's the problem that we are seeing, is that we're infringing upon their business model. And
Right.
to me, healing, look, I'm all about making money, right?
Right.
But
Saving
blocking something that
saving
works,
lives comes over making money though. Right.
exactly. Blocking
But
something that works to make money, that's just evil, man.
that just comes down to what we were talking about with the command before, right? It happens in corporate
Hmm.
America as well, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
we have to be the voice and advocate to do the right thing no matter what, right? Because if any of those executives or kids were going through that, right, they
Hmm.
probably would
Hmm.
send them there and do it hush hush and get better. And it's
Well,
like,
that's
all
the
right, we
thing,
got to keep
Davis.
making our money now, right?
Well, that's the thing, Davis. This isn't new technology. This isn't some novel thing. Many sports athletes use this
Right,
because they see
exactly.
the benefits. Michael Jordan uses it. I mean, look, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to any issues, but if you do the research, there are many top performing sports athletes that use this. Countless
Did
hospital.
your pain on your knee go away?
It did. I mean, I still can't squat as much as I used to.
Okay,
But it's definitely a lot better.
right,
I mean, look, I used to be able to squat like 450, but
nice.
it's there's no way I'm hitting those numbers these days. But it's definitely not as prevalent as it was.
Okay, got it.
And I'm starting to improve even more now that I'm doing more bodybuilding back at home. But because I've gotten the relief. Because I've
Right,
gotten that
exactly.
relief, right? And so I can
Right.
actually do more. And so it's almost like PT for me. It works perfectly with PT. Um, and so that
So then you
aside,
wind up then you wind up joining them, or how did it come
yeah.
about?
So essentially, I went to the owner and I was like, "Look, what you're doing is truly miraculous. I've lost more friends to suicide than we lost downrange in the
Right,
10 years since I've exited the military. And this is something that we need to get out far and wide as possible. And if there's
100%.
anything I could do to help do that, that's my role. That's what I want to do. And the amazing man he is, he took a step back and said, absolutely. Like, your story's amazing. Your benefits, the benefits you've received from HBOT speak for themselves. Go out there and talk about it. And so that's basically what I've been doing ever since, Dave, is trying to take this as far and wide as possible to as many people as possible, and try to do like a grassroots upward approach, pincer movement to actually address, the structural roadblocks that we're seeing at the top, to basically have people demand change. Because right now, like I said, we're working with a lot of folks in MARSOC, in Special Forces, in the unit, and if we're being honest, there's a lot of conflict on our horizon, and it would
Yeah.
behoove of us to start preparing for that and to start preparing accordingly. If you look at Ukraine right now, the majority of the casualties are due to concussive exposure. Um, we need to get one of these chambers down to Ukraine right now. We need to verify the efficacy in a battlefield. These Ukrainians, they need to come off the line. They need to get into these chambers in the acute phase, mitigate those symptoms so that they're force capable and they're able to be back on the line rather than being pulled all the way back to some, rear base where they have to spend months. There's no time for that. Or this is a major conflict. This isn't,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
we're
that would
entering
be
an age of
incredible
major
if they could
conflict.
have. That would be incredible if you could have one when you're going out on missions, right? Come
Well,
back,
exactly. If I would have had
decompress.
access to
Yeah.
this, I probably would have still been in the military because I wouldn't have had the lifelong symptoms that dissuaded me from,
So how do people sign up to go to your is it clinic? I guess is that the right word?
It is, yes, sir. Yes. So we have a clinic here in RDU, the Research Triangle of North Carolina.
Okay.
We're right next to the airport. If you want to go to hbotforheroes.org, and that's the number four, so hbot4heroes.org. Essentially, it outlines how you can both apply, you can come take a tour, you can talk with one of us to, see what works better for your schedule, or if you're nervous about, the therapy process, we can talk to you, we can guide you through that. Connect you with some other veterans. That's another thing, Dave, is this is it's not just a therapy. It's almost like a homecoming every time I come up here because there's so many veterans always going through that it's like a little camaraderie thing.
That's amazing.
It truly is,
Yeah.
and some of our oldest veterans are about 88 years old that we're testing right or not testing but treating. 88 years old.
And
88 years
do you
old.
guys charge for the treatments?
We do, not for veterans. So right now, we veterans across North Carolina can register to sign up for our therapy.
Okay.
North Carolina was funding all veterans across the state,
Oh
and they've
wow.
given $1.2 million since 2019 to this
Okay.
program. The thing is, Dave, we had a big hurricane, and they shifted all that funding to rebuilding, which is a good thing. We need that. We need that rebuilding to take place. However, we also need funding for this critical care. We have something that truly works right here in North Carolina. It's truly changing the needle and shifting the status quo. Don't get me wrong. I love all these programs, the service dogs, the retreats. All these things are great, and we should fund them all. But this is something that actually addresses the injury and not just the symptom. And that's something that's really key. We really got to get away from masking symptoms and addressing the injury,
Right.
or moving towards addressing the injury. And that's what this does. It actually addresses the injury. It heals the injury.
And this is great
Pills
for
don't do
active
that.
duty guys, first responders, anyone, right?
Absolutely. Well, that's the real thing, Dave, is we're trying to illuminate the value that both active duty first responders can have by opening access to something like HBOT. Again, you know, and I'm
Well,
trying to maintain my calmness because there's just so many second, third, fourth order positive effects that come from the implementation of HBOT. You know, if I had been if I had my symptoms mitigated, I wouldn't be 100% disabled, which means the taxpayer wouldn't have to pay me for the rest of my life.
right.
Now,
Exactly.
compound that to how many disabled that we're starting to get, especially if we enter a major war, it becomes fiscally impossible. So not only is this healing veterans, it's helping our checkbook and maintaining our, you know what I mean? Like it's not breaking our bank because right now 3 million pills go out to veterans every day. How much is
Wow.
that costing the taxpayer? That's just
Wow.
veterans. How much is that costing the taxpayer when we could actually heal these individuals, restore their quality of life, get them back into the community as fulfilled members of the community that are actually contributing, and having a positive, quality of life.
What's going to help you guys, David, to get to the next level for expansion? What do
Oh,
you guys need?
absolutely.
Do you guys need donations? What do you guys need? Do you guys need people in legislation or
We need
combination?
all of the above, Dave. If I'm being honest, we really
Okay,
need money at this core moment. We've exhausted all of our funding. We were really leaning into North Carolina to provide us some funding. We've been leading this HBOT fight now for years. 14 states are now stepping up HBOT within their relative states, both funding, programs, research. And this is, yeah, again, this is we've been leading the way. We need folks to help keep this going. And so if there's sponsors, donors, anyone that's willing to help keep this mission going and take it further and farther, please absolutely reach out to me, because that's what's going to take to actually take this to the next level and highlight the benefits so that we can get force-wide adoption, nationwide adoption, and actually truly structural change to our medical,
system. Yeah.
the whole system. Exactly.
When are the 14 states going to be open? Do you know?
Well, so they're moving all at their own individual pace, and
Okay.
so there's Missouri, Kentucky. There's a whole list, and I'll provide that in the comment
Yeah, if you could
section
send
if
me
you'd
the list,
like.
yeah, that'd be great.
But no, the point is the popularity is starting to get there. People want the alternatives. They don't want to be eternally medicated.
They don't want to be doped up per se.
They
Yeah.
don't want that
Yeah.
numbness. They want to feel life again. They want to feel healing. And this is how we do it. And it's just using the gifts from God. It's just oxygen pressure. It's no pharmaceuticals. There's no invasive surgeries. There's no negative side effects. It's just oxygen pressure.
So if somebody lives in the North Carolina area near the chamber or clinic, how soon can they usually get in?
So right now we do have a long line of folks trying to get access to this.
That's what I figured.
Um, but that long line is waiting for resources to help pay for it. And so if you can pay for yourself, typically you can get in pretty immediately. And right now I think we're charging 150 for veterans per session, due to the hiccup in funding.
Got it.
Let me double check on that though. Don't publish that. Let me make sure that
That's
that's
all right.
correct beforehand. I don't
Prices
want to
are
give any
subject to
wrong numbers.
change. Here we go. So
Mhm.
no, especially with now with the inflation, right? Pretty much everything we buy out there is double, right?
Well, well,
Houses,
so
cars, food, you name it.
Mhm.
So
Well, so right now in the villages down in Florida, we've got retirees spending upwards of $4,000 per session because of the healing benefits that it happens after a certain amount of sessions. Now,
wow.
their protocol's a lot longer, so they have a 60 session protocol, and there's they the data shows that after a certain amount of sessions, it actually elongates your telomeres.
Oh wow.
Now, the
Okay.
telomeres are how you how you gauge biological age. And so, for instance, like if someone doesn't know what a telomere is, if you imagine your shoestring, that little plastic piece at the end that holds it together,
Yeah, the two
as you
pieces.
age, that gets smaller and smaller.
Right.
Well, this actually elongates your telomeres by 25%.
Nice.
And this is the only thing in the world that they can see that does that. And so, if this was just hocus pocus, I think people would see through the marketing scam. But down in Florida, you've got people in the villages literally spending $4,000 a session because they see the benefit. They see the after effects on their friends, and they
Hey,
see the investment is actually worth the youthfulness. And
nice.
that doesn't mean you're going to live 20 years longer, right? But your body feels 20 years younger. That's worth a lot of money to me. I'll tell you that. Um, but that's the value that it brings to not only veterans, first responders, people that play sports, but our elderly.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
There's just so many benefits. Kids who play sports should be able to get in here in the acute phase instead of having lifelong debilitating symptoms where they're over medicated to manage those symptoms. That's the wrong answer. That's the wrong
Right.
answer.
Well, it probably would help with Alzheimer's too, right?
Well, look, I don't want to say that it's some magic bullet, right? But it's showing amazing results at the mental faculties, the
Okay.
cognitive functional improvement, again, the neurogenesis. Amazing things happen in the brain when you put oxygen pressure. Again, I'm not going to say it's a cure-all and it solves Alzheimer's, but we're seeing amazing results in, again, mitigating some of the symptoms even in some early onset dementia patients. And
Well, the
so,
great thing is it goes through your whole body, right? So,
exactly.
I'm sure, your whole body will benefit from it, which would be pretty cool. That's awesome. All right, cool. Let's go back into my list here, and we'll wrap up, with HBOT for Heroes in a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh, so now that you went through the chamber, is your physical fitness is back? You said, how important is that to you daily? Because I
Yes.
know
So,
we talked about sleep is important.
yes.
What are you doing physically every day now?
Yeah, so my fitness is back. I don't want to say it's back. It's improving. Um,
Okay.
in fact, we just did a 5K on Saturday, and I only stopped once, which is pretty good because I haven't been a big runner since I had my daughters
Okay.
2 years ago, and so like I've been a full-time father for the last 2 years,
Nice.
and that's how I get my running around. But no, it's amazing. I'm telling you, the sleep alone improved damn near all the other things as a follow-on, right?
Yeah.
Um, but just again, being able to move and function as I did before brought a peace of mind, just again, a quality of life enhancement that I just couldn't have paid for. You know what I mean? Like there's no other amount of money that I could have given to receive that. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing stuff. Again, it's just oxygen and pressure, me sitting inside this little vessel breathing this in for a couple times a week, and this is the benefit. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Right.
it's astounding stuff.
That's amazing.
And so my sleep, my anger, my cognitive functional improvements. I was, my executive function, so I was sourcing articulate words better, faster. Um, and again, we've seen this even in our Vietnam veterans that we're treating. These are guys who got their injury 50 years ago.
Wow. Wow. Yeah.
Like, I mean, imagine if we can again hit it in the acute phase and actually mitigate all these issues. Just the quality, like,
Yeah. The
man,
younger, the better. Your body's going to be able to repair a little bit faster, right? So,
exactly,
which will be pretty
exactly.
cool. And how about your diet? Do you eat pretty healthy as well?
So I'm a pretty healthy eater. I have
Okay.
I do have my low points. I eat a lot of chicken wings, but but I tend to be pretty healthy.
Okay.
I do drink a lot of coffee. I need to slow down on that.
Okay.
But the type of person that does put quality things into their body. I used to not always be like that. And
Right.
I think that's one of the reasons I am the way I am now is because I've experienced negative health aspects of a terrible diet. And so I try to eat wholer foods and not no processed stuff. I try to hold back on sugar and cream, but I can't with my coffee, if I'm being honest with you. I
You can't
still
do
eat
it black,
bacon.
huh?
I can't do it. I do, but if I'm not enjoying it,
It's
I'll
like, what
still
is
drink
this
it.
sludge I'm drinking? Yeah.
I gotta have it, but but no, it's that's the thing, David. That's really what the so HBOT will help, but it's not a magic bullet.
Right.
Your lifestyle will either assist in that benefit or decrease the benefit, right? And that's all going to be on the individual. And that's the thing about HBOT is it's not a magic bullet. You can mess up all of the benefit by having a terrible lifestyle, smoking, drinking. All of that benefit is going to go right away. And so that's the thing is as we approach a holistic healthcare model where we're integrating both diet, physical fitness,
Right.
and more holistic modes of therapy, it's got to be a whole approach. It can't just be a take a pill, you're good.
Right.
And
Exactly.
and individuals need to realize that though. There is no magic bullet. You gotta sacrifice too, and you can't eat the McDonald's all the time.
You just
Trust me,
took
I
the
love
you,
me a
ju-
Big Mac, man,
you
but you
just took
can't
the
do
words
it.
out of my mouth. Whenever I'm out late doing something, going to the store, it's like I see the drive-through at 10 o'clock. People are at McDonald's. It's like, what are you guys thinking? But you
Look,
know,
I've been guilty of that.
yeah.
All we can do is try to be better, right?
Yeah, and that's what I like about HBOT too. It's going to improve your quality of life, right? and then you always have to be your own advocate for your own health. So,
Hmm.
that's why I always bring up the sleep and the eating and exercising, right? This way you
Yep.
could operate your machine per se that we're in at optimal levels. This way, that's why I love holistic solutions that you guys are bringing to the table. So I appreciate that.
Well,
Uh,
real quickly, and that's the thing is people ask me, they say, "Oh, is this like a one time and done thing?"
right,
And I'm like, well, the best way to think about it is like an oil change. Like you take your car in to get oil change all the time, every so
right.
many thousand miles. And that's the way I like to do dives is like every so many months, I'll get in the chamber and do like not five at once, but I'll set up my week to where I know I'll do 5 dives in order to top off those benefits.
Oh, there you
Because
go.
again, they do wear off over time, because your lifestyle
And
changes.
plus we're getting older, right? You said
Well, that's what I mean. Exactly. And
the
so
telomeres are going to start getting smaller again, right? So
And just keeping that hyperoxygenation, that neurogenesis. I mean, again,
and
we've seen amazing results.
and
And
hopefully
so,
we could we guys could get some funding, or we could find some people in our audience too to help you guys get some funding, so a lot of these people can go for free and not have to worry about how often they could go or what the case is. So that's one of the goals today.
well,
Uh,
Dave, 17 billion has been spent on mental health care in the last decade with stagnant
how's
and
that going?
receding
How's that going?
results. Exactly, exactly. And that's the thing is their money
Yeah,
is out there, right? We shouldn't have to ask individuals for money. Although I am very helpful and grateful if individuals on this podcast want to help us because that's amazing and that's
right.
truly serving from a deeper part of the heart. And I love that. But we have, as taxpayers, funded already more than enough to solve this problem, and we haven't. And so we need demands from the public to the legislators, specifically at the federal level, for accountability, for shifting in funding and resources to things like this. Um,
And with your political background, I'm sure you've started doing that a little bit, right?
Absolutely. Well, and that's kind of the skills that I bring is, in Texas right now, I think they just approved $50 million to study psychedelics.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not against that,
Right. You
but
know,
we have something that works and it's just oxygen and pressure and it's right here and we got zero. That's
right.
frustrating to someone like me who's seen countless examples of positive benefit and we got no money. And it's
Yeah.
just
It's a constant thing being in front of those people like every day because out of sight, out of mind. I know that the guys heading up that with the psychedelics. I know they were with the government pretty much every day.
Mhm,
One
mhm.
of the gentlemen that heads that up was supposed to be on a podcast like 3 4 months ago. He goes, Dave, I'm flying all over the place. I got too many meetings. I go, hey, let me know whenever you're ready. So,
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
it's something that it's a full-time job basically. So.
And I'm happy that they are studying it. Don't get me wrong. I like the alternatives. It's just 50 million for that. When we
Right.
have something here and we can't even get one, it's
Right.
just so frustrating,
Imagine what
right?
you could
It's
do
like,
with
damn
50
it.
million. Yeah,
Exactly. And
that's
so
amazing.
again, I'm all about the alternative modes, but we got something here that again provenly heals the injury instead of just addressing the PTS aspect of the symptom aspect. And it's just we
And you've
really
been through it,
gotta.
right? Which is a
Exactly.
great thing. And did we talk about? I know that we talked about your PTSD and TBI a little bit. And you said you were doing some drugs to kind of hide away from everything.
Mhm.
Were you ever at the point it's like, hey, I don't want to be here anymore?
Yeah, I was,
Okay,
Dave. So I struggled with a lot of weed. I was doing all sorts of drugs, if I'm honest. So growing up in Fayetteville, that and in a broken home, that kind of exposed me to a lot of drugs at a young age,
okay.
unfortunately. So I kind of already knew about these drugs when I got out of the military, and so I went right back to them essentially to numb myself. And so. Just being honest, yeah. I mean, I dealt with those issues. I dealt with suicidal ideation for a while, and then if I'm being, at that moment in Fayetteville when I was feeling those feelings, um, it was actually uh, some of the things that they're studying in Texas that actually helped me get over that,
Oh,
and
there you
which
go.
is
Look
why
at
I'm
that.
all about it, right? And
Right.
so that's a little background on that, and that's one of the reasons I'm still here is
Yeah.
because of a mushroom in the ground.
Yeah, that's why I love
It's crazy.
I love the alternatives, right? The alternatives work, and
Hmm.
especially. I've had a lot of special op guys on here, and they all say, "Hey, Dave, we got rid of the pills.
Yep.
We're doing alternatives." I had one Navy SEAL on that he goes, "Dave, I've done everything."
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
I've done everything, and this actually ties into one of the questions I'm going to ask you. But actually, let me ask it now, and we'll come back to
Yeah.
another thing I
Yeah.
was
Of
going to
course.
ask you. But he goes, everything's great. It's going to help you a little bit. He goes, but the main thing, as you and I know, if you're able to connect with God one to one, right? That's going to be your all your best solution ever, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think
Mm-hmm.
whatever solution you
Spirituality. Oh yeah.
find, whether it's the chambers, whether it's psychedelics, whether it's stem cells, you need to connect with God. And I was going to ask you a question: how connected are you with God for your life and for business?
Well, so I was always very I don't want to say always or very, but I always had an idea that there was a God, right?
Right,
Obviously, getting close to dying brings you a little bit closer. Uh,
right,
and so I had that experience. Um, had many experiences. When I came home, I did the psychedelics and whatnot, had my own, whatever interactions, whatever you want to call them.
right.
But I actually got to do a trip to Israel in 2017. I was starting a master's class,
Okay,
conflict management resolution, and I was actually able to visit some of these sites, um, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, I went to all the places, Dead Sea, all of it, and being in those places, like again, I've always been kind of like, oh God, God's real, but not like feeling it, right?
okay.
I tell you,
You actually had a connection then.
oh Lord, when I got there and I touched the ground, where Jesus apparently was born, which I believe, I got like electric shock, man.
No way. Are
Like,
you serious?
it felt like an electric shock. Like I
Oh,
felt
wow.
like, and I'm getting the chills right now just thinking about it. There's no explaining that. You know what I mean? Like, there's no explain. Like that was something. And ever since then, I actually baptized myself in the Jordan River.
No
There
way. Oh
wasn't
my
there
gosh.
wasn't a priest around, so I just
Okay.
again me and God on that mountain in Afghanistan, we became really close, and so I think he views that as a valid baptism. But but that being said, I am very I don't want to say very religious, but I feel like I'm here for a bigger purpose and to do good. And but like what does that mean, right? And that's the thing is like
Well, as long as you're serving others, right? To
but that's
make
what I was
sure.
trying to get at is that service, right?
Right.
Service to a higher power, to true goodness, right? And like I feel like I'm on God's path or the path that he has illuminated for me by bringing this as far and wide as I can. And I think that's like the ultimate good that we can do. In my mind, if all I can do is shift the conversation to the point where one more veteran gets access to this and it possibly saves their life, then that's more impact than I could have ever hoped for.
Right.
Obviously, I hope it reaches higher than that, and we can change the whole industry and the whole um, system, but it starts somewhere, right? And that's the thing is, I keep getting these winks from God that we're on the right path to truly implementing true health in this country. And so it motivates me, man. It just motivates me. Of
I love it. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah,
course.
and I love that we're bringing up all these points, the health, the physical, the mental, and God. It's kind of like what Charlie was doing, Kurt, talking to the
Hmm. Hmm.
colleges. We need to be the same advocate for veterans and others, first responders and whoever else is suffering. Because there's a lot of
Exactly.
people that are suffering that weren't they're not first responders or not veterans. So as long as we can help our fellow man, I think that's what we're really here for. So
Well, if I'm being honest with you, we don't plan to just keep this for veterans. We're using veterans to illuminate the benefit.
right,
Everyone should have access to this. Kids, like I
100%.
said, who get hit on the head playing sports should have access to this in the acute phase so that they're not living a life full of symptoms.
Yeah,
And so,
absolutely. Hey, I was going to ask you about uh, another mission. I know you shared one. Is that mission the one that stands out to you the most? The one we talked about earlier? Or do you have another one? Because we didn't even talk about your second Purple Heart. I don't know if it's gonna be the second Purple Heart or would it be another mission that really sticks out that you think about often?
Well, one mission does stick out to me, but it's a very emotional one, and it involves two men that we lost.
Okay.
And and that's again one of the reasons why I want to help hold the spear. So, and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but this is how it happened. Um, Air is red, snowing hard, nighttime. The Overwatch opens up into the valley. What could that be? It's IED makers putting in some IEDs.
Oh man.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, whatever, right? Captain, no, we're going out there. Okay, why? Like,
What's
why?
what's the purpose? Right.
Why?
Right.
And so that's what we do. We go out there and so the booby so the IEDs were booby trapped.
Oh man.
And you
Great.
know, Sergeant Sergeant Mays and Specialist Stark, our EOD guys, you know, Sergeant Mays died instantly. Um and Mays, or I'm sorry, Stark was hanging on for about 45 minutes
Oh my gosh.
out there as we're trying to collect body parts, gear, um, keep them alive, taking small fire here and there, just randomly, just to keep us, you know, shifty. And so we get back to the base, and air's red for 3 days. So their bodies sat at the aid station in those body bags for 3 days.
Oh man.
And like so at this point I was on the sniper team, and the next day when the snow melted, they were going out there to collect body parts and pieces of gear and trophies essentially. And so we were up there on the guard tower basically taking warning shots like don't do that.
Stay away. Right. Yeah.
And so they started sending their kids in there, man, to collect that stuff. And it's like I just can't in my right mind imagine myself ever one sending my kid
Putting
into a
putting your kid in
potential
harm's
hostage
way. Yeah.
situation, but also to collect body parts and stuff. And it's
Oh
just,
yeah.
I don't know, man. It just really stuck with me. And I
Okay.
think about that all the time. And it just, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Well,
know.
you know what? I'm glad that you're able to get in these chambers, help yourself out. But thanks for sharing that. But that goes to that leadership again that we're talking about, right?
Hmm.
And unfortunately, after the Marines, I was in corporate America for like 30 years, and time and time again, you always run into those people. It's like,
Hmm.
what the hell are you doing here, right? So, except the difference in the military is that we lose lives, right? Which
hmm
is which is night and day. So,
And
but
it's bad. It's hard though, Dave, because I don't want to throw him on. Like the captain was a good guy, and he still is a good guy. But that one mission, man, just stands out to me, and it's just like, why the hell did we do that?
was there an
Why did we go out there that
objective
night?
behind it?
What was that?
What was the objective?
To go stop those IEDs from being put in the ground.
Seems like you could have done
We
that
could
with
have done
the
that tomorrow in
you
the
could have done
daylight
it, or from long distance, right?
or from a long distance.
You could have sniped them, right?
Should
Yeah.
have shot at AT4 at them, but whatever.
All right. Well,
Yeah, but that's and so
well,
yeah. I
you
mean,
know,
there's
and then you said
I'm
that's
sure
why
lots of
that's why you
members
keep
have
moving
stories.
forward, right? For those
Well,
guys that did the ultimate sacrifice, right? So
that's what we can do, Dave, is live for them and keep pushing forward. And that's again, that's what kept me out of these that dark space.
right,
And that's what I want others to look for and to drive their heart and drive their action. It's not about you. It's about the guys we lost, men and
100%.
women. Hmm.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Thanks, brother, for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
A few more questions. We're getting to the wrap up here. Let's see what time is it. Yeah, sure is. Uh, so. we talked about succeeding, and when you got out of the military, you wound up going to college. You made some good connections. So if a person is not sure what they want to do to succeed, what would you recommend for them to do or to get out of that funk per se?
You mean in that dark when they're in that dark place,
Just
or just in
anybody in
general?
general, either
Okay, yeah.
either dark or not dark, whether
Hmm,
they've
hmm.
done seen combat or not.
Yeah.
So
Well, I would just say, everyone's got a purpose and a skill and a value to add to a team. Um, some people think that they are the team. It's not the
right,
case. You add a skill, you add a component, you add you add to the bunch. Just because you're not the whole bunch doesn't mean you don't have value or that you can't do something positive or influence someone in a good way. And so, you know, have a little pride in that. Pride's a bad thing, but don't undercut yourself. Don't undercut yourself. Um, you have a lot to offer. You might not see it or what vantage point it might be beneficial to another, but it's there. And don't stop looking for it. You know what I mean? Don't stop trying to find that. I'm bad at technology. I could chop a tree down like nobody's business, but navigating Zoom, I had to have a whole nother person come in here and help me do that. It's just not my skill set, man.
right, right.
But
Yeah,
that doesn't
we
mean I don't have skill sets other places, right? And so that's the thing. Find where you're happy, where those skills are, and just use them in a positive way. And it doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't have to be every day,
right.
but try to do something positive for others. You know what I mean? And that's how that sacrifice becomes worthy again. And that's what it always ties back to is sacrifice and service. And that's what makes it worth it. Um, that's what makes it worth it.
Yeah, a couple of guests have said find your passion on what you love, right?
Hmm, hmm,
Find a passion that you love, and God's made us all differently, right?
hmm,
We
hmm.
all have our gifts from Him. Find that gift that you have, and just accelerate with that. So, I think
Amen.
that hits the nail on the head. Thank you. If you were 20 years old today, knowing what you know now, what path would you take now?
Well, I would have definitely gotten a Ranger contract.
Ahead of time.
I definitely would
Like,
have went
come on in.
bat
We'll
Ranger
get you
bat.
when you're in there. Yeah.
Uh,
Okay.
no, I'm kidding. Not really, but
Well, that's okay though. People that want to become rangers, they'll learn from that,
well,
right? So,
exactly. Don't go into the recruiter office ready to sign the contract without getting what you know you want. And
right.
what I mean by that is I knew I wanted to be the tip of the spear, and I went in there. And again, maybe this is just all God's plan.
Plan. Yeah.
And maybe this is just me rationalizing it for my own ego. But regardless, you need to have a plan when you go into that office. And if you want to serve this country, that's a great thing. But if you know you want to go Ranger, don't sign that contract unless they get you a RASP contract.
Yeah. No, and God does make things happen in His time, right?
Hmm,
I
hmm,
served in Camp Lejeune
hmm,
when
hmm.
all that water stuff was going on.
Oh
A
Lord.
couple of my buddies lived in a certain base housing. I think it was Taro, I think it was called. And I was a Lance Corporal at the time, and I was supposed to get meritoriously promoted like 3 or 4 months. I went up, in front of some boards and stuff, and everyone was sure I was going to get it. I thought I did outstanding, and I didn't wind up getting it. It's like, what the
Hmm.
hell? So I had to wait another 3 or 4 or 5 months for it to happen. I wound up getting it done, and then I was able to move to that housing. But two of my buddies that lived there wound up dying from cancer. So I think God didn't let that happen. So I wouldn't have gone to that housing and drank that
Hmm.
water that was, contaminated all that time. So
Wow.
it's like you don't think about it till later on down the road.
Hmm.
So it's like, okay,
That's
you, you
huge.
you know what you're doing, God.
And that's the thing is it's not our plan.
Right.
You know, we got to remember that.
Exactly. And how do people just go to the website to contribute, or are you guys doing fundraisers at all? Or
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually just finished our two fundraisers that we had set. We did a Run for Their Lives 5K this past Saturday. It was
okay.
amazing. We had about 200 runners out there.
Oh,
Freaking
nice.
phenomenal. We had unfortunately it was on the same day as the Marine Corps um half marathon, I believe it was.
Oh, okay, got
And
it.
so they that took a lot of our numbers away, but that's okay.
Those damn Marines.
Those damn Marines. Ah, just kidding. No, it's the Navy we don't like. I'm just kidding. I'm teasing. But no, shoot, where were we at? What were we talking about? Sorry.
That's all right. I forgot too, goofing around. Contributing and fundraising.
Oh, sponsorship. I apologize. Yes, that's exactly right. So yeah, we had a Run for Their Lives 5K, and then we had a Ride for Their Lives. So it was all the Harley Davidsons here locally had sponsored a big where they ride down the street, and it had rained that day, unfortunately, so we didn't have the best turnout. But we planning to do a couple new events in the near future, and so we're going to get those out. They will be on the website. But if you could just go to hbotforheroes.org and take a look at some of the events that we do have coming up whenever you do have a chance. But really, what I want you to look at is the testimonials on our website. That's really what is gonna leave you feeling a certain way about this organization. I want you to look at just the sheer amount of testimonies we have. That alone kind of illuminates something that we have here, the scope of what we have here, and you won't leave that computer with a dry eye. I promise that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love it. I came up with another question. I was thinking when you were talking, if somebody wants to start one of the chambers in their state, how to reach out to you guys as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So we partner. So we're just a nonprofit. HBOT for Heroes is the nonprofit. We do partner with Ex Vita Clinic
Okay.
because they have the highest standard of safety of the care. They have digital, analog, and manual safety aspects, and so the contingency is amazing there. And so we really partner with Extavita because they have that highest level of standard of care.
Yeah,
And so,
100%.
with that being said, reach out to Extavita because they are looking to try to bring these to the other communities across the state. Because right now, it's tough to get veterans to drive all the way to the Triangle to spend a
Yeah, I
couple
can't
days
imagine
up
that. Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
It's
especially
not
when they have to go
easy.
multiple times, right?
Well,
Yeah.
exactly. And so, we ideally want to get these clinics established in these communities where folks don't have to travel, a day to get the care that they need. And so, we're looking to have one set up here in Jacksonville probably early next year. We're
Okay.
looking to try and get one in Wilmington here shortly, essentially across the whole state. And so, if this is something that you want to bring to your area, please get up with Extavita so we can start having that conversation because the quicker we get these clinics out, the quicker we can impact the community, heal these veterans, and get them back out there as positive, productive members of society.
Awesome. Yeah, and we'll put that link on the podcast as well. But it's extavita.com, is it?
It's um, I don't know if it's .org or .com. I believe it's .com.
.com.
I
Okay.
know ours is .org because it's a nonprofit, so I believe it's .com.
Okay, and we'll have the link
Thank
on
you.
there too, so people could find it. So, all right, we're almost close to wrapped up here, brother. Any final words you'd like to close out with, or anything that we did not cover?
Well, I just want to say thank you again for bringing me on, and that's the thing, Dave. Is it's an awareness
Right,
battle
100%.
right now. The further and farther wide we can get this information, the more legislators that can view it, the more angel investors that have money willing to help fund veterans to get through this therapy. The further and wider we can take this. Right now, the federal government's starting to look at it. And so, if you've got influential voices in that aspect, tell them about this. Tell them to look at it deeper, to break that connection with big pharma and actually heal our nation's bravest. That's another thing, Dave, is as we enter these new conflicts, we got to encourage these younger Americans to serve. How are we going to do that? We need to show them that we will heal them as they come home broken. And that's
Right,
one way that we can do it. And so not only will it help the folks already broken, it'll be a recruitment tool to help keep force force retention. And so it's a no-brainer.
yeah, I love it. Yeah, because basically, government's going to say, "Hey, we're not giving up on you," right?
Exactly.
What we've been doing is not working. Guess what? We're going to open our eyes and give you guys other alternatives so we're not losing
Amen.
all these lives. So that's great. All right, David, it's been great having you on here, brother. Great to get to know you a little bit more. Thank you so much
Thanks,
for
Dave.
being on here. Thanks for your sacrifice, your leadership, and your example. You're doing a great job. Greatly appreciate you. And you didn't just serve; you continue to serve others, right? And don't, let everyone remember that. That's what we're really here for. That's why I started this podcast, is to help others, right? Get awareness out there, and let you know that there's other brothers that are willing to help you out. If you're going through rough times, contact us. I'm sure David wouldn't mind
Mhm.
talking to you guys as well,
Absolutely.
which is great. So thank you so much for being on. Uh,
Thanks, Dave. I really appreciate it. And thank you
and
for
for,
everything you do.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you. And for our audience tuning in, share, follow, and subscribe. These stories need to be heard. These lessons can change lives. Stay focused, stay winning. God bless you. And thank you for listening and following.